For over 2 decades, Graham Norton has been the king of British talk shows. His red sofa has hosted everyone from Hollywood royalty to music legends, and his charm has made even the most awkward moments disappear like magic. But even Norton admits that beneath the laughter, there were interviews that tested his patience and professionalism. These are the guests he'll never forget. It was 2013, and Mark Wahlberg walked onto the Graham Norton Show alongside Michael Fassbender and Sarah Silverman. From the moment he hit the stage, something felt off. His swagger was louder, his speech slightly slurred, his jokes too forceful. At first, the audience laughed, but the energy quickly shifted from entertaining to uneasy. Wahlberg wasn't just relaxed, he was intoxicated. He interrupted everyone, including Norton himself. Every time Fassbender tried to speak, Wahlberg cut in. When Sarah Silverman told a story, he shouted over her punchlines. Then came the unforgettable moment. Without warning, Wahlberg stood up, stumbled slightly, and climbed right onto Graham Norton's lap. He wrapped an arm around the host's shoulders and laughed, as if they were old drinking buddies. The crowd erupted in nervous laughter. Norton kept his composure, smiling and trying to steer things back on track, but his eyes betrayed the strain. After the episode aired, social media exploded. Norton later admitted he was just out of it, completely gone. Wahlberg joked he'd simply had a few drinks before going on, but for Norton, that night was a reminder that even the most charming host can't control every storm. If Wahlberg was chaos, Robert De Niro was silence. When the Oscar-winning legend appeared on the show, audiences expected a rare glimpse into his mind. Instead, they got one of Norton's most difficult interviews. From the moment De Niro sat down, he looked uneasy. His answers were short, cautious, often no longer than a few words. Norton tried everything: humor, teasing, flattery. Nothing worked. At one point, after another minimal response, Norton sighed and said what everyone was thinking: "This is hard work, Robert." The audience laughed nervously. De Niro gave a faint grin, and that was it. Norton carried the weight of the conversation alone. He later admitted it was exhausting. De Niro wasn't trying to be rude. He was simply uncomfortable in such a loose, comedic environment. Long before his name became synonymous with disgrace, Harvey Weinstein appeared on the Graham Norton Show. He arrived not as a guest, but as a force. Loud, controlling, utterly convinced of his own importance. He dominated the couch, interrupted other guests, cut off Norton mid-sentence, and redirected every question back to himself. The show's trademark warmth evaporated. Norton was visibly uncomfortable, his polite smile thinning as the interview dragged on. Years later, after Weinstein's fall, Norton spoke about that interview with chilling hindsight. "I had no idea at the time, but looking back, it all makes sense." The footage still exists online, but few revisit it now. For Norton, it's a reminder that sometimes evil doesn't announce itself. It just walks onto your stage and tries to control the room. When Mickey Rourke appeared on the show, fans expected Hollywood charisma and eccentric charm. Instead, they got one of the quietest, most painfully awkward interviews in the show's history. From the moment he sat down, it was obvious Rourke didn't want to be there. His shoulders slouched, his eyes distant, his responses short or nonsensical. Norton threw him every lifeline he could. Questions about films, about boxing, about anything that might spark conversation. Nothing worked. At one point, Norton cracked a joke about Rourke's famous comeback. The audience laughed. Rourke didn't. He simply nodded and looked away. The silence was unbearable. Norton later admitted he just didn't want to be there. You can't fake energy. You can only try to survive the silence. That night proved not all disasters come from arguments or chaos. Some come from emptiness. Of all the interviews Graham Norton has endured, none frustrated him more than Daryl Hannah's. Not because she was rude, but because she simply refused to play along. Norton greeted her warmly and led with light, friendly questions. But from her first answer, something was wrong. She responded in one-word sentences. She didn't laugh, didn't elaborate, didn't react. Norton tried humor, empathy, self-deprecation. Nothing worked. The other guests looked uncomfortable. The audience grew restless. It was excruciating, Norton later admitted. I felt like I was dragging the conversation uphill with a rope. By the end, he was visibly drained, carefully steering the show away from her, just to keep the energy alive. When someone gives you nothing, you realize how fragile the whole thing is. The show only works if everyone wants to be there. After more than 20 years, Graham Norton has seen it all, from drunken antics to icy silences. Yet even his hardest nights couldn't overshadow what he built. A show defined by warmth, humor, and connection. The difficult guests weren't failures. They were reminders that television, like life, isn't always easy to control. And when it works, when guests laugh, connect, and share something real, that's where the magic lives.